Hi, welcome to the Andrew Buckle book review of Defenders Volume 2 Omnibus. This is from Marvel Comics, Steve Gerber, Sal Buscema, and Marvel Comics, 700 pages. Book came out in 2023, cost $100. I paid probably about £70 for it, and includes a variety of different comics there. You can see Defenders 20 to 41, giant size, etc. So you can see all the covers of all the different issues that are included. Now I've got the Epic Collection. Unfortunately, there's not a perfect overlap with the two. This one finishes at issue 11. Obviously, this one starts at 20. So let's just go through the book. Unfortunately, Defenders Volume 1 was quite expensive. I don't know if it's now reprinted. Hopefully that's the case. But I looked and it was quite expensive, so I didn't buy it. So Defenders Omnibus, this one, Volume 2. And obviously got Sons of Serpents there. Now, they, of course, were, I think it was the Avengers comics, around about issue 30 or so, 34. I can't remember the exact number. And you can see all the people involved. Obviously, lots and lots of different artists there. And you've got Don Heck, Jim Hart, Starlin, and many, many more. And there's all the comics. So this was about 1974. You've got a lovely introduction again. Always great introductions from Roy Thomas. You can see it goes all the way through to about 1976. It also includes some really great little extras at the back, where you've got here the origins of the Headmen, as well as Guardians of the Galaxy debut. There's the introduction there. Now, unfortunately, many of these introductions, you can see there, 2012. This wasn't redone for, of course, 2023, which is always a pity, I think. But still, you've got here Marvel 2-in-1, Thing and Doctor Strange. Of course, Doctor Strange being the key member of the Defenders, certainly back then anyway. You've got, obviously, the story here with the Thing in Marvel 2-in-1. I enjoyed those Marvel 2-in-1s. Now, there is a volume coming out, I think, Omnibus for that, I think. I haven't got it yet, so that's one, but possibly to get. Thing and Valkyrie, of course, as well. So another character of Defenders. Now, was issue 7. I think that's a great little cover there with Valkyrie and the Thing. And the Executioner as well. You also see the Enchantress, because of course the Enchantress was the original Valkyrie. Yeah, I think it was in Avengers 83, but it was also, maybe it was the 142 Hulk. Anyway, they were great stories. Thoroughly enjoyed those, and you can see obviously there's the power, etc., etc. And of course the guy has a few problems with the magic instrument there. And of course it's clobbering time. You've always got to end, of course, a good old Thing story with a bit of clobbering time, and then it goes straight into the Defenders. Now, I bought all these back, I think it was obviously in the 70s, and they were great. I loved them. One of probably first issues of Marvel Comics that I ever bought was Defenders issue 5. Fantastic Four before that, but Defenders number 5. I love that story. I have also got the Marvel feature one, issue 1, that is considered to be the first issue of the Defenders. Though, of course, there was Titans 3, that was in Submariner and a few other stories as well. So you got here the Dynamic Defenders, the woman she was. So we got there, obviously, again, the Executioner. He's having a bit of a problem. One time he was able to tackle Thor relatively easy, as well as the Hulk. Now the Thing knocks him about, and on to some more story with the Defenders. You, of course, got the Nighthawk there. Nighthawk was in the story at that time. And you got these great characters as well. They were weird stories. These were ones, I think, were in the Submariner, Doctor Strange ones. As Guardian Sorcerer, it says there. Though I think they were sort of Lovecraft sort of character. R.E. Howard. There was a sort of... Still, on to Defenders number 21. And we got the Headmen. They were a weird bunch of characters. I don't know if they've ever turned up since. No idea. But beware the Black Rain. Does sound a bit ominous, doesn't it, when you got the Black Rain? And you got the Hulk there, obviously. Yeah, having postal service with the Hulk around is probably never going to be right. And obviously got this character there. He's obviously applying some special, drawing a nightmare into our world, as it says there. And the story is really about, obviously, there with Nighthawk as well. And on to giant-sized Defenders. And you've got the Grandmaster. Yet another grand scheme from him. He's always bringing like Squadron Sinister and all those sort of things with. And, of course, he's got his batch of his various villains he brings in. That's a good story. And I really enjoyed that one. And I loved a lot of those giant-sized ones. Always great. Picked up many of those as well. And you can see there, obviously, now Submariner's got his I don't know what you call it, that suit that he had, because obviously he had problems with supplying water to. Now, I think that would have been a useful suit anyway, but I think Reed Richards created it, I vaguely remember. So that's I'm not saying Wade didn't use it all the time. He was always having problems where he suddenly was drying out, obviously not having the water. And of course, you've got this, the Hulk is facing someone that seems at this point, of course, to be completely unstoppable. And there he is, he's zapping the Hulk. How long will that last? Because the Hulk is unstoppable, of course. Puny Humans killed Nighthawk. I don't think they did, but still, it's always dramatic on the front cover. And another giant-sized one there. You got Yellow Jacket as well, turns up. And, of course, you've got Hyperon and you've got the Whizzer. Yeah, so that names, wasn't it? And Too Cold a Night for Dying was like a good old snowy scene there. Don Heck is the artist there. And you've obviously got Doctor Strange, Valkyrie and the Hulk going back to Earth. And you got Yellow Jacket as well in the story. And again, like I say, you got all the Squadron Sinister or Squadron Supreme, whatever they were called at that point. The Hearts in Darkness. And then we're on to the second part of this. These are all often just collections of the masterworks put into one massive book, which I don't mind, but it's a pity they never update these lovely introductions. I mean, they should include them, but it would be nice to have had a really quite a good sort of introduction right at the start, the whole thing. And they've got the Defenders, the Sons of the Serpent Strike. Now, of course, they were villains that faced the Avengers quite a while ago. I think in the 60s. Maybe, yeah, probably was been in the 60s. And you've got, again, Yellow Jacket there, obviously, facing, again, the serpents there. On to the next story, which is Jaws of Serpents. Obviously, they've been captured. And you've got Son of Satan as well popping up, as well as Power Man as well. Luke Cage, of course, in the storyline. And what's more could a Marvelite ask for? Well, that was great stories. Now, I remember buying these thinking, wow, these were really dramatic stories. Certainly for me, this, of course, it's always useful that he can still shrink to insect size, which is good. Of course, he could probably not go the other way because, of course, he would always have problems. I'm never certain about that. But those powers, I don't know why they did that. Personally, that was always annoying. They stopped that. But there are, obviously, they're doing burning someone, little Valkyrie there. And then three stands beside them. And, of course, inside the serpent shed its skin. Of course, we find out a bit more about the serpents. And, of course, things, of course, go completely wrong, especially when therefore you can see the Hulk there. Even if the Hulk can't actually see anything, I think at that point, onto another giant size. Quite a few giant size in a grass. There is a giant size book. I don't know if that's come out yet. I haven't seen it. It's possible it's out. There was going to be a complete collection of all the giant size stories. Now, I've got a few giant size, but not as many as I wish I'd kept. And this time we've got Elar moves in mysterious ways. Now, the story goes on into the Guardians of the Galaxy. Of course, the Guardians of the Galaxy, slightly different from the one that we've got now, or the one that we're familiar with. But you've got the character there, obviously. Doctor Strange having a few problems there, but there's the old Guardians of the Galaxy. And of course, there's the character who will become a Guardian of the Galaxy. I'm surprised they've never made a film about those characters. Would be nice to see. But anyway, there they are. And of course, the Badoon. They're the characters that we got. And we're on to this one. I love this one. Look at that one. That's spectacular. I loved always these future ones where they would travel to the future and sort of battle various... The Badoon. Obviously, the Badoon have invaded the Earth. And you can see there, they give a lovely run through of all the history. Obviously, Killraven, all those sort of things are mentioned as well, I think, which is quite nice. You can see there, obviously, there's Killraven there. What was Killraven they ever faced or met with Killraven in the Defenders? And then, of course, got the Badoon, slightly different Badoon, the female Badoon. And you've got there 3 Worlds to Conquer. It was a real good long-running story. And the Defenders did have that. They had these sort of lovely ones where they were 4 or 5 stories. My favourites was Defenders versus the Avengers. Probably some of my favourite ones. Certainly when I was first into Marvel Comics, I thought, these stories are just brilliant. Silver Surfer and all those sort of things, all turning up, battling away. Hawkeye, of course, battling against Iron Man. Just brilliant. And then you've got, obviously, another bit of futuristic scenes there. On to, obviously, an alien planet. Obviously, the Hulk there. For that looks a bit like what the story's a bit later on, doesn't it? With that sort of... And there's, of course, the Badoon. Got problems. They're battling against Doctor Strange. Now, Doctor Strange could probably do this virtually every time, which does beg the reason, why doesn't he do this? Sorry, bit of spoiler there. But, of course, you're battling the mystic arts, so he can do lots of different things, can't he? And we're on to this storyline. got this one there. So it moves quickly forward with this, and you've got Nighthawk again, Nighthawk, and these characters, the headmen. Yes, thought first a bit like Moondragon sort of thing, wasn't it? No, maybe not. But still, the headmen there. I don't know who that character is, can't remember his name now. Meets Ruby, apparently, in the name. But of course, there's a lot of problems. And then there's a bit of this. They're going to be transferred, or I can't even say it. That's a completely impossible word to say. And ends, I'm not even going to say it. But of course it doesn't. And you've got this character now. Nebulon turns up as well. You've got Nebulon, the character here. And of course, the story still continues on with the headmen. And my favourites, Plant Man, good old Plant Man, of course, and all the other, and Red Guardian as well turns up in this story. I love that. Oh, yeah. Can even stop Power Man. There's no way they're going to stop Power Man. Your murderous thorns, of course. Now, I don't know how effective that would be against the Hulk, those things, but obviously Doctor Strange, I mean, he can just use a magical, mystical blocking device, couldn't he? But you got them. I think the other characters turn up, don't they, at some point? Oh, yes, there's some. The eel and, of course, Porcupine, they're quite regular. I love all these sort of weird, sort of lesser characters, but they're great. And just, obviously, unfortunately, whenever they battle anyone, they always end up losing. And, of course, Clea must not be stopped. Clea turns up, obviously, in the story. What's the heck happened to the Hulk? I have no idea at this point. And, of course, we even had the value stamps. Did you collect them? Did you cut them out? I can't remember if I did. I think I must have cut a few times out, though I don't know why I would. But of course it's a book now with the value stamps, which would have been so much more sensible. Again, this is one thing I love about these omnibus editions, that they include the letters pages, and letters pages are always great. It's just great, like Barbara Norris is talking about Doctor Strange, etc., etc. Just a great feeling of where stories are going. Unfortunately, the epics do not include those, and it just would be so nice if they did include those stories. And obviously Valkyrie is now obviously in prison there, some type of prison. World gone sane in a final battle. Another king-size annual stuck into this as well. I think there's President Ford turns up in these stories as well, which is, oh yeah, there is. President Ford and Nebulon. You can't beat that, can you? On to the next story. And you've got always, I thought when I first saw this, I thought Cosmic Cube, sort of a very big Cosmic Cube. It isn't the Cosmic Cube. Nighthawk, and of course you've got good old Peter Parker there. And on to Howard the Duck. Just great. So that was a good one. I've got that one, the Treasure Edition. Really, maybe that is the Treasure. Oh, here it is. Howard the Duck Treasure Edition. Great Great story with the Defenders, of course, there as well. Joins the Defenders. And you've got obviously a bunch of characters there. I don't know if they ever turned up ever again. But, of course, get taken out by Howard the Duck. Into the final issue. Well, near our final issue here. Guardians of the Galaxy. This one, an absolute classic. Guardians of the Galaxy. Marvel Superheroes number 18, that was, wasn't it? January 1969. Probably the one comic I had about 50 times. And haven't got now. Because now it's so expensive, I will never be buying it again. But it was one of those ones I think I must have got rid of, gave to friends, bought it again, gave to friends and so on. Because no one wanted Guardians of the Galaxy, Marvel Superheroes number 18. Now I've got a copy of, I think, number 17. I think that's a Phantom Eagle. I don't think anyone's ever going to want that unless Phantom Eagle gets his own film. And then suddenly that issue will be amazingly collectible. And there they are, the Badoon again. That's why they included it. Of course, they had to have that story. It's great to see the origin of the sea. And then you've got these lovely Atlas stories, which are always good. The headmen there as well. Obviously, bearing really no resemblance to the stories later on. But still, it is good to see. And this one here, the Brute, it's got here, the Prisoner of the Fantastic Fog. It says that at the top. Angelo Torres. Oh, EC, of course, artist. Brilliant. And then you've got a few bits of lovely illustrated, there's inked pages there at the back, of course, from the stories of the Guardians of the Galaxy. And what's the remaining bit? We've got a bit, oh, here's an advert. Mighty Marvel does it again. Of course, you've got those lovely giant size or king size annuals. I never could work out whether they were king size or whether they were annuals or giant size or anything. They get them changing their mind, I think, sometimes. That was a great one. I love that one. Never got that one. Got that one. And, of course, the Thor one was excellent. So that is that. Now I've taken this off because while I was doing it, I noticed it was getting further and further and further and further down. So I thought let's just take it off so you can see, of course, there's the book. So I think this is an absolutely brilliant volume, 700 pages of some really classic Defenders. Now, I haven't bought volume 3. If there is a volume 3, please put in the comments below. I haven't checked, to be honest. But volume 1, like I say, I would probably still get volume 1 because though I love this, it would be nice to get the other stories. The Magneto story that was in the between bit here, just one of my favourites. I love that one, Magneto and the X-Men. Though, of course, that's available, I think, in, well, one of the X-Men volumes, I'm certain, somewhere. But a great volume, worth checking out. The Defenders, volume 2, and this one, well, brilliant book. Are you going to buy this? Have you bought this book? Do you buy all the other Defenders? Are you going to get all the other omnibuses that come out with Defenders, as well as maybe the Epic collections, of course, instead? A like or dislike, always appreciated. Also, please subscribe to the channel. It'd be great. Bye.